Most New Testament passages that refer to a door being opened are speaking of evangelism or speaking of an effective ministry of the gospel. We're going to look at a few of those examples. 1 Corinthians 16, verses 8 and 9, Paul says, "But I will tarry in Ephesus until Pentecost, for a great and effective door," and the implication is of ministry, "has opened to me, and there are many adversaries." But Paul is not going to leave Ephesus because he's saying it doesn't make any sense for me to go somewhere else because there's not going to be anywhere near as much fruitfulness. He's been around the block enough. He's saying, I'm preaching the gospel, and there's a receptivity here that is not normal. There's an open door. There's something the Lord has done that is beyond what he typically experiences. Now, the verse that stands out to me the most is in Colossians, and it's because Paul is actually encouraging the church to pray for an open door. Colossians 4, verses 2 through 4. "Continue earnestly in prayer, being vigilant in it with thanksgiving. Meanwhile, praying also for us that God would open to us a door for the word, to speak the mystery of Christ, for which I also am in chains." So Paul is asking for prayer that God would open a door, that when the word is spoken, that there would be a receptivity. It's something I think we need to pay attention to because I think it's something that the Lord still does today. To ask and to pray and ask for that door to be open. So Jesus says to this church that he has the key of David. He opens and no one shuts, and he shuts and no one opens. He says, "I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have a little strength, have kept my word, and have not denied my name." What I hear Jesus saying is, you guys have lacked strength. You haven't had momentum in this city. You've been persecuted by the synagogue of Satan. But he now has opened a door, and he's saying, go out, start evangelizing again, redouble your efforts, because you're going to see people from that synagogue of Satan, and they're going to be pierced through the heart. They're going to hear the gospel because this door is open, and they're going to bow down, and they're going to worship Jesus, and you're going to see it right in front of you. That's what I hear Jesus saying there. As you've heard this, is there any part of it that it's quickened to your heart? That you hear him saying, let's pray, let's intercede, let's ask for an open door. Because, see, we live in a culture and a day and an age where people think they've heard the gospel, and some of them have actually heard the gospel, but many of them have heard what doesn't sound like good news to them because they hear rules and regulation and condemnation and guilt and shame, and they don't see any pathway to love and grace and forgiveness because they haven't heard the true gospel. They haven't heard the full gospel. They've heard the legalistic gospel or whatever other version of the gospel that they've heard that isn't truly the message that Christ wants them to hear. And I hear in this message a call to prayer, that we would pray and intercede and ask the Lord to open a door, that people would have ears to hear, and that voices would be raised up throughout our land that are truly proclaiming the gospel of salvation in Jesus, the forgiveness of sins, not a works righteousness, but a grace that forgives, a free gift. If you hear the Lord saying that, I just want to encourage you to start praying that way. Lord, would you open a door? Would you open a door in this land that people could hear the gospel in a way that they haven't been hearing it a lot of late?
Hi, I'm Mark Rowe, the pastor of True Hope. Thanks for checking out this video. If you're hungry to grow more in the Word of God, I want to encourage you to come and join us on a Sunday morning, or certainly you can find additional sermon videos and audios at the sites that are about to pop up on the screen.